So hello again and good morning to everyone. My name is Ivana Jurkovic, and together with my colleague Tatiana Badrov and three of our students, also in collaboration with our partner from Greece, from the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, Vasilia Kazamia, I prepared this presentation because the purpose of it is to show you what we have done so far with IO6, which is about soft skills for engineering students. At the beginning, I would like to thank all of the presenters who presented yesterday, because I think it was an excellent kickoff into our conference. It basically was an excellent opportunity to hear about the achievements of everybody in their IOs. So I was really looking forward to this day as well, today after such a successful day yesterday. Just, at the beginning of this session, because as you can see, the title of our IO, Soft Skills for Engineering Students, is actually quite broad. Soft skills encompass so many things. So I would just like all of us to think for maybe a couple of seconds, maybe half a minute. What comes to your mind first when you hear the word soft skills? And I would really appreciate if you could just write, the things that come first to your mind into the chat box. I will give you a couple of seconds. Can you just write down, what comes to your mind first? Thank you. David, thank you very much for this. Soft skills, hard to assess. I agree completely with that. When we talk about hard skills, usually it's easier to evaluate them, but when we talk about soft skills, much more difficult, I would agree. We also have transversality, ambition, nonverbal communication, empathy, intercultural considerations, also humility, the concept that was mentioned yesterday, which I really like a lot. Networking, interacting with others effectively. Again, we have empathy from Katya, thank you very much. Creativity, focus, etiquette, diplomacy, and so on. So basically critical thinking, very nice, building social capital and teamwork. So as you can see, we have so many things that we connect when we talk about soft skills. So the idea was for us to think about a concept or an idea, how we can implement all of these things together, and how can we make them more, or how can we make them easier to assess or to evaluate, because this tends to be a problem. So what we basically came up with when we discussed this was the thing So what we basically decided is that we will focus on developing engineering students' presentation skills in the international global setting. So at the beginning, when we were discussing how we are going to present the work in our IOs, we said we will start by saying how our IO contributes to the ultimate badge goals. So yesterday, John basically said, well, we would like to highlight the D in the badge. But to be honest, as a person who is teaching engineering students, and more specifically computer science students, this D for me is a sign that I have to be humble, because basically, when you talk about computer science students, mechatronics students, these students know more about the digital world than I do, for example. However, what we would like to focus on definitely is this G part, which relates to the global setting, the international setting, because it is obviously not the same if you're presenting to national audience or international audience. There are differences. So what we basically focused on were the intercultural aspects, transferable skills, and sustainability in the end effect. So basically, why presentation skills? Because when you're making a presentation, especially during the delivery of the presentation, you really have to encompass a lot of soft skills. So it is not just about delivering a presentation, it is also about self-presentation as well. So these are the skills that we would like to focus on, and the skills that we would like to develop throughout this project. So I would just like to briefly present our IO6 team. So we have people from two different universities. It's our Bjelovar University of Applied Sciences and also our dear colleague Vasilia Kazamia from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki from Greece. Unfortunately, she was not able to be here with us, but she's sending her regards to everyone. And she's looking forward very much to watching all of the video recordings next week. We also have 10 students who are going to work with us and or already are working with us, and 5 students come from each university. I'm very glad to be able to greet 3 of them from our university, Mate, Philip, and Carlo, who have already helped us quite a lot with their feedback and their insights into the story of this project. So what we started with at the very beginning was basically the needs analysis. When we talk about the stakeholders, we obviously know that there is not just only one stakeholder in question. We have the employer's needs, we have the students' needs, and we also need to meet the teachers' needs. So what we actually developed throughout the years, and this is something that Tanya and I have been doing for a couple of academic years now, is basically the collaborative approach to integrating communication skills and ESP teaching. And to be honest, you know, through this process, I also learned quite a lot because, you know, I'm an English teacher. I teach English for specific purposes. I'm not a communication skills teacher. And on the other hand, Tanya is an expert in communication skills. So her insight in combination with my insight presents basically an ideal combination to teach our students, our engineering students, how to deliver, how to prepare a good presentation in English language. So the question that we actually, you know, had at the beginning was, what can we do to meet the stakeholders' needs? Because, you know, the needs might be similar to some extent, but to another extent, they're not entirely the same. So when we talk about the employer's perspective, what we basically did so far is we made a needs analysis within the business sector. We put up a questionnaire, and the majority of this work was actually done during our LB meeting, which resulted in the questionnaire that we pre-piloted and then piloted again. And this questionnaire is actually the one that we are going to use in the following weeks to test or to see, basically, to analyze what are the needs of the business sector in the global setting. And I would also like to use this opportunity to kindly ask all of you if you would be kind enough to help us with this. We could share the link in the chat box. I can also send you an email with this link to the questionnaire, which was developed, and then later on it was basically upgraded a bit to really meet the needs of what we are trying to achieve here. If you have connections with the real sector, I know that many of you do have, because you already presented the results of your service. It would be such a great help for us to see how the perspectives of the industry is throughout the global setting, because it's obviously not the same in every country. So what we will do next, we are going to do the follow-up analysis, and we will implement the results into our teaching materials that are going to be the ultimate outcome of this IO. What we see here as the added value is basically the connection between the higher education institutions with the business sector. We have already done quite a few analysis in combination or in collaboration with the business sector, and I must say that, you know, when you approach them, they're very actually thankful, and they're very happy to participate and to share their opinion. The ones that we basically collaborated with in the pre-piloting and piloting phase provided us with invaluable, really invaluable insights into what can be improved in our questionnaire. Just, you know, an example, just as an example, I can say that, for example, when we asked how long usually their engineers should present or deliver a presentation, we actually didn't include more than 45 minutes because we didn't expect that presentations in the real sector would actually last that long. But both of the pre-piloting and the piloting companies, or basically their representatives, both of them said, no, please do include it, because very frequently our engineers have to present for a period which is longer than 45 minutes. So this is what we then added into our questionnaire based on their feedback. So ultimately, the result of this should basically be all of this information, which will be integrated into our course curriculum or even our study program curriculum at our university and also at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. When we talk about the employer's perspective, well, basically the aim of that questionnaire was what is important for you from the aspect of presentation skills and the soft skills that accompany presentation skills in the long run. What do you expect from your prospective employees, right? So this basically represents the importance of assuring that future engineers will receive proper training both in the area of presenting and in the area of presenting in English or maybe in some other foreign language, but but from the aspect of basically language for specific purposes, because obviously they are presenting. Presenting in the setting that will require them to use technical terminology as well. When we discussed the students' perspective, we were thinking, well, how can we gain some insight into what students actually think? So the easiest way was simply to ask them. And how did we ask them? We basically drafted an interview and we asked them some questions, but to be honest, in a very informal setting, because we just wanted them to speak up and to see what they think. So here in this slide, you can basically see the summary of the most frequent replies. So when we ask students, what kind of a course in presenting in English would you like to have in the future? Most of them said, well, we would like to have an interesting, useful, and fun course. So this fun part was really important for the majority of the students. What was also very interesting and actually, you know, in line with what we thought as well, was that students would also have real-life communication situations for learning purposes. So for this purpose, what we use so far were usually video clips from YouTube, or in some cases TED Talks, because they do represent a really powerful way of presenting. You know, we just wanted to point out that basically, you know, we don't really have like a collection of video clips that would cover a variety of presentation skills, issues, and challenges that the students have to overcome as they're basically preparing for the real life and the setting in which they're going to have to present to people who maybe even know more than they do about the content of their presentation. So the soft skills, the presentation skills, and everything that accompany that will definitely be something that can make them more confident in the long run. What students also said, well, we would like to have an easily accessible quality materials for learning and practice. So this is also something that was aligned with what we thought, that we are going to develop a handbook with teaching materials that would help both teachers and students to make, you know, modules, or to use modules to basically implement them in their teaching. So at this point of the presentation, I would just like my students to join this presentation. I'm really thankful to them that they could come today. They have exam terms, so it's really stressful for them at the moment, but still they managed to find time to join us. So all of these 3 students are the ones who initially were supposed to come with us to Germany for our meeting. So this is the reason why I'm very happy that they can be here with us today, you know, all 3 of them. Maybe Carlo Pušić is our first year mechatronics student, a student which actually participated in my courses in this academic year. And Carlo has made some really interesting comments and gave us really valuable insights into what we can improve in this project, and what can we make even better and more developed. And he also has some examples in which he basically was supposed to make and deliver a presentation in a digital setting. It was basically a virtual presentation over Zoom. It was made recently because his team, which was made up of students of our first year of mechatronics, won the 2nd place on the national contest, which was a huge success for us, and we were all very proud of them. But a very important part of this thing was actually their ability to present well what they did. So Carlo, maybe can you just share, you know, why was the presentation part so important for your success in winning this 2nd place?
Well, sure. Well, first I'm gonna introduce myself. So my name is Carlo. I'm a first-year student of mechatronics in Bjelovar, and I'm very glad that I got invited to this meeting by Professor Jurkovic and Professor Badrov, and giving me a chance to express my opinion. I'm also glad that I'm a part of this project. I was very excited to meet students from Greece and share my experiences and opinions with them. Presentational skills are very required in both my field and my colleagues' field, since having a great project but presenting it badly probably won't sell it to potential buyers. I got to experience this firsthand on an engineering competition a few weeks back, where presenting our project got us to 2nd place and earning us a prize of 1,300 euro. It was an online presentation, which was a first for me. I have to be honest, but Professor Badrov helped me to fine-tune my presentation and style of talking to impress the judges and actually surprise. We are used to doing projects on our own, and we recently created a learning material for students who experience problems with English and grammar-wise. As my last point, I'd like to point out how well online classes were executed, but not only by not just Professor Jurkovic and Badrov, but every professor on our university. Since this is a very interactive approach, I've heard some students talk on our online meetings that I previously wasn't sure that they can even talk on our meetings at university. So this online classes actually helped some people open up to both their colleagues and professors and share their opinion. So I'm very glad to see that, because honestly I've started to talk with a colleague that wouldn't even say hi to me on our university, since he was like anxious and stuff, but he's a really great guy. So those are my opinions. Hopefully they were useful. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you, Carlo. I completely agree. What we basically implemented in this semester was actually crucial for us in this project. It was because basically it was the preparation phase for the next phase where students will actually be involved so much more in as active participants in the project. This first year was actually the year in which we were supposed to prepare them for what is expected from them, and also to select these 5 students who are going to participate in the project on both sides. And I'm really happy that these 3 students are among the 5 that we have selected because they're excellent. And uh, the thing that Carlos said, you know, this was really something that happened throughout our sessions. We had sessions in breakout rooms in Zoom, and the students themselves, they commented, well, in some occasions, these were actually the first moments in which we heard some of our colleagues speak in English, you know, and the way that they did it was actually excellent. So, um, you know, it was just about engaging them in some discussion that was interesting for them, that they considered to be fun. For example, we had a situation with one student who was really reluctant to present, you know, because it was online, he didn't want to use the camera and so on. Um, and in one of the sessions, we just had a discussion on which types of tools they use and which kinds of, you know, like keyboards they use and so on. And he was so enthusiastic throughout this process because he showed us his mechanical keyboard that he has for gaming. And he was speaking about this keyboard for 10 minutes. And then in the end, I just said, are you aware of the fact that you just made an excellent talk, right? It was an excellent presentation. And he was like, okay. And in the end, he did one of the best presentations by the end of the course. So yeah, basically these are just some of the insights that we have so far, you know, from the course in the manner that we implemented it so far. So last but not least, we should also talk about the teacher's perspective. And what we did, we also asked our teaching staff what they thought about how these materials should be done. So we involved not only teachers who teach communication skills or foreign languages, but also engineering teachers, because very frequently what they do with their students in the assessment is they provide them with project work, and in the end the students are supposed to present. So obviously this is not in a foreign language, this is not in English, but still, you know, many things can apply. So what basically they said, well, if we are going to integrate soft skills in our course curricula, we need some support. We need some feedback from the business sector that this is valuable. And last but not least, again, quality course materials. So quality course materials are the things that, you know, both the teachers and the students need. And this is ultimately, you know, what we decided to do. So just, you know, the thing which I already mentioned, you know, how we are going to do this is by implementing the collaborative approach to integrating communication skills and ESP teaching. So the idea is that the communication skills teacher provides training for students in the area of preparing and delivering a presentation in their mother tongue. And the ESP or LSP teacher, it doesn't necessarily have to be restricted to English, shall provide training for students in the area of preparing and delivering a presentation in English or in a foreign language, with all of those nuances that you basically have when you are presenting to an international audience. And an important thing is obviously the feedback that we would like to receive from the business sector. And what we are planning to do is actually by implementing the collaboration with our alumni club, because they're basically, you know, the interface between the university and the business sector. So our question was, what can we do to meet the stakeholders' needs? So we analyze the needs of the business sector. We will produce open access teaching materials in the form of a handbook. And what we are going to produce as well are videos to be used together with this handbook. So this is our timeline according to the project, in the way that we basically, said that we are going to do it. And even though we had this coronavirus pandemic crisis, basically, I must say that we are not really behind the schedule at all. So 2019 was actually the year in which we decided to find our alignment. So to see, what are the similarities and differences between the way that we teach presentation skills to engineering students at our university and in Greece. In 2020, this is the year that we are in right now. Basically, we have the idea to do this research, to conduct it till the end, and to make all of the preparation as well as the pre-teaching. So in this year, in this academic year, to be more precise, students were learners, right? In 2021, well, basically now we get to the implementation stage. Students will be designers, active presenters, and teachers, because the idea is that ultimately, students, the 5 students who participate now in this project, are going to be teachers for the next generation of students. And last but not least, in 2022, we are going to finalize the product. We are going to produce the teaching materials, which are going to be online on the Moodle platform or any other platform that we ultimately decide to use. And students will be engaged as design thinkers. Important part of this is also to assure sustainability of the project. So the methodology that we basically decided to implement, and I'm sure that most of you are familiar with this, average retention rates and the difference between passive and participatory teaching methods. So basically, it has been proven by neuroscience that teaching others actually helps us to retain around 90% of the things that we are trying to learn. So this is, this was the idea, and this was the methodology that we decided to use, because basically, when you teach others, and in this case, students will be the ones teaching others, hopefully they will become better presenters by doing that. And last but not least, I would like to conclude my presentation with the idea on sustainability. I'm sure that all of you have heard of Mark Twain and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, which was written in the 19th century, but in my opinion, just as an English teacher, it's still as fresh today as it was then. One of my favorite books, definitely. So basically, in this novel, Tom Sawyer was a boy who was made by his Aunt Polly to whitewash the fence, and he was not really interested in doing that. But in the end, what he did, well, he decided maybe I can also engage others, right? How am I going to engage others to do something that, well, maybe they don't really like to do because I myself don't want to do it? And then what he basically did was, well, he kind of faked that he liked it and that he was having so much fun. And then the other kids saw how much fun he had and they helped him. So in the end, the fence was really, whitewashed really quickly. And, this collaborative approach was basically the one that helped them to finish the work in an easier way and to have fun while doing it, although it sounded dreadful in the beginning. So basically, sustainability can be achieved very easily after this project, because now we have all of these virtual online platforms, and we don't necessarily have to implement traveling, which was planned initially, in this project, because the idea is that the students from Greece will travel to Croatia and the students from Croatia will travel to Greece, just for the purpose of doing all of this, making the videos and filming the examples that will basically accompany the handbook. Because a lot of these things can actually be done in the virtual setting. And this is something that all of us have been forced to implement, whether we liked it or not, just because of the pandemic situation. And to be honest, I'm really thankful for that, because it also made me rethink some of my teaching methods and the ways in which I can improve it. So the idea is, you know, that once we have these 5 students who will act as teachers, if they present this as something that is really fun and interesting, they will engage and interest other students. And this is something that can be done throughout the generations of students in collaboration with Greece or with maybe any other partners that are interested in doing such things, right? So by sharing this, I would like to conclude my presentation. I would like to thank my colleagues, and I would like to thank all of my students who are here today. And if you have any questions, we are free. We are here.